Hey, what's up guys, it's me Balshankar back with another video. What's better, a hard disk or SSD? Let's find out. Starting with the basic, they both are storage devices, with hard disk drive or HDD being the most popular and widely used within them. So does that mean hard disk drive better? Let's find out. A hard disk drive, HDD, also referred as hard disk, hard drive, or a fixed disk, is a data storage device used for storing and receiving digital information using one or more rigid rapidly rotating disks called platers coated with magnetic material. These platers are paired with magnetic heads arranged on a moving arm, which reads and writes data to the plater surface. Data is accessed in a random access manner, meaning individual blocks of data can be stored or received in any order and not only sequentially. Hard disk drive is a type of non-volatile memory, retaining stored data even when it's powered off. Hard disk drive became dominant secondary storage devices for general-purpose computers by the early 1960s. Continuously improved, hard disk drive have maintained this position into modern era of servers and personal computers. On the other hand, a solid-state drive, SSD, also known as solid-state disk, uses an integrated circuit assembled as memory to store data persistently. SSD technology primarily uses of electronic interfaces compatible with traditional input-output hard disk drives, which permit simple replacement in common applications. Additionally, new I/O interfaces like SATA Express have been redesigned to address this specific requirement for SSD technology. Unlike hard disk drive, SSD have no moving mechanical components. Compared with electromechanical hard disk, SSD are typically more resistant to physical shock, run silently, have lower access time, and less latency. As of 2014, most of the SSD uses NAND-based flash memory, which is a type of non-volatile memory that retains data when its power lost. For application requiring fast access but not necessarily a data persistence after power loss, SSD may be constructed from random access memory (RAM). Such devices may employ battery as integrated power sources to retain data for a certain amount of time after the external power is lost. So the real difference between them is how it reads and writes data. Like memory stick, there are no moving parts in SSD. Rather, information are stored in a microchips. Conversely, a hard disk drive uses a mechanical arm with read or write head to move around and read information from the right location on the storage plater. So in theory, the speed of hard disk drive is generally related to how fast the mechanical arm rotates. It's known as RPM, or rotation per minute. The higher the RPM of a hard drive, higher its read and write speed. A typical hard drive has a RPM of 5400 to 7200 RPM. In some server-based hard disk drive can spin up to 15,000 RPM. An example of fast controller today is SANFO's SATA 3.0, which has a bandwidth of 6 GB per second. SSD controller that supports bus speed up to 550 MB read and write speed. Next gen SANFO's 3700 family of controller was announced in late 2013 and is quoted to reach a blistering 1800 MB read and write sequential speed as well as 150K to 80K random ops. A recent SSD technology uses PCI Express cards generally used by your graphics card. So in general, the comparison between hard disk drive and SSD clearly means how fast each drive performs. Well, apart from solid state drive performing well compared to hard disk drive in terms of speed, SSD also has an advantage on power consumption, consuming only 2 to 3 watts as compared to hard disk drive, which consumes around 6 to 7 watts. Solid-state drives are much expensive than a hard disk drive and has a read and write speed up to 200 MB per second to 500 MB per second, whereas for a hard disk drive, it speeds around 50 to 120 MB per second. Since hard disk drive is magnetic and has moving parts, a simple magnet can erase or corrupt your entire terabyte of data, so hard disk drive are more prone to risk. So what is better for you, a hard disk drive or SSD? Well, if you are a person who needs lots of capacity, need lots of storage for storing your media, you better want to go with hard disk drive. If you are a person who care about the read and write speed of a computer, the boot time of a computer, how fast the program loads, you may want to go with SSD. In my opinion, I would say you go for both SSD and hard disk drive. store your operating system and programs you use in your SSD, and install your hard drive for storing your multimedia files like your audio, video, photos, etc. That way you have enough storage for your multimedia files and also not making your computer slower. So what do you think? Do let me know in the comments below, and as it always is, thank you guys for watching my videos. It means a lot to me. And if you like this video, make sure to put us a thumbs up and subscribe the channel for more.